All right. As far as I can tell, we are live. How's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. Another Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man. Do you have any plans this weekend?
Yeah, we're gonna do some Dad's Day stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It is Father's Day weekend, isn't it?
Uh-oh, you forgot about that.
Yeah, I did. I guess it doesn't matter for me though, right? Something should be done for me, right?
Well, and you should be doing something for somebody else, right? Both, right?
Oh yeah. Good point. Forgot about that guy.
I have been I have been kind of pushing off Mother's Day to my kids now that they're a little bit older. I'm here to help, but you guys take the initiative. So I'm going to bring Chrome up here because my regular browser, I don't use Chrome normally, but my regular browser is so gummed up that it seems to. All right, everyone. Go ahead.
Oh, are you running Windows? Is that what you usually operate with, or are you?
I am for these. So I have all of them. So I have Windows on kind of my main professional laptop. I have a discarded family laptop I beefed up for Linux Mint, and then I have, of course, for GitLab Mac. So I've got them all. So I get the pains and sufferings and joys of all the desktop platforms. I am omni-platform, I guess.
That's awesome. All right, I'll leave you alone. We can jump into it.
Yeah. So this is our second live stream, and we're still kind of getting used to it. We had internally at GitLab, we had someone asking about a customer had asked another SA, Dave Astor, he goes by the handle Disaster, about a GitHub action that they were really digging. And so we wanted to take a little bit of time to go through the kind of the concept of bringing CI components from other systems onto GitLab. So we fairly frequently, I don't know, Jefferson, tell me if you get this, but I get people saying, well, can you do such and such on GitLab? And can you do such and such on GitLab? do you have a lot of that kind of question?
Yeah, all the time, right? So I think it's interesting too. Like we have capabilities that are out of the box, I guess, like with the design in mind. And then we have capabilities or GitLab has capabilities that the same objective can be met, but just a different way, like using those Lego blocks kind of analogy that we talk about. So I definitely get that all the time. So sometimes when we tell customers no, it's like, oh, it's not, I have to go back and go, it's not no, it's on the no of face value, and no, it's like as far as what we can do, but I have to go dig and see the pieces that we have and see what we can accomplish with it. Because I think that's the separate approach that SAs do to add value to that customer drive. But yeah, all the time. So
yeah, so in CI, like a lot of times people will be on another framework and they'll be like, well, can I do this in GitLab CI? And I think maybe some of this question comes from they see some of the visualizations of pipeline and they don't, and then if they dig in, they see the logs, but they don't see how the code is structured necessarily when they're first getting their feet wet. And so typically my question to that is, can you do it from a command line today, whether it's in a script or you do it by hand? And if the answer is yes, then my answer is yes, you can do it in GitLab CI. So that's one kind of way to bridge the concepts of these two worlds, is there's nothing about GitLab CI that prevents it from doing anything that you can do in a command line environment. But then a lot of times when it's like about another platform like code build in Amazon or GitHub Actions, the answer there is even better, because a lot of times those are containerized build systems. So some folks may be working on build systems where it's a build runner or a build agent that is basically like a shell agent. So it's just a machine and you get to run stuff on it. But a lot of build systems now, CI and CD systems, are using containers. So when it's using a container, the answer is, yeah, we can do that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have all those. It is interesting, like all the things that each platform does and does differently, and then having to understand how to convert that over to the GitLab tool set in a way. But I think if you, like you said, if you're using containers, then it should be even better, awesome and quick.
Yeah. So the default on GitLab.com, the default runner is a Linux Docker runner. So you have containers automatically. Some people don't even know they're using containers when they use it, because if you don't specify a container, it runs with the default one that's a Linux container, and you may or may not notice. The Windows ones are actually shell runners on GitLab.com. However, don't think of GitLab as just being able to do the runners one way. The runners are one of the things that's so flexible, it's crazy. When people ask me, can you do this or that with the runners? A lot of times it's like, absolutely. So there's Docker Executor, but there's also Shell Executor for Windows and Linux. Also for Mac, there's an executor. Since the runner code is open source, there's some companies that actually take it and adapt it for a completely different platform than what we maintain it for. So got a lot of flexibility in how you deploy it there. So the specific ask was for something called GitHub Superlinter.
Superlinter. Sounds fancy.
Sounds pretty fancy. All right.
Is this like equivalent to GitLab CI linter?
Well, no, this is for linting your actual language. So one of the things that immediately came to my mind was, is it hard for them to figure out that we have linting in GitLab? And I think the answer might be yes. So one of the things I wanted to cover was that linting is really a component of what is called code quality. So it's one component of how you can evaluate. So if you actually Google for GitLab code quality, I'm just going to see what we get with the straight. And you dig into our documentation page, you'll find that we have a certain scanning engine that can look at your code quality. And linting is just a part of that. So one of the things about GitLab is everything's very open. So right here it says code quality uses code climate engines. So if we open that up and we say, what's a code climate engine? You can find out that code climate makes code quality scanning tools. I'm going to dig a little deeper into it here. So they've got some additional tools now. So I want to just see if I can find, okay, here it's saying quality and velocity. So we're interested in their quality tools. And so what they have is obviously free, because we provide, or they have a free or an open source version of it because we provide it within GitLab. Pardon me. And as we dig in here, we can see that it's got a lot of interesting features. But one of the things it has built in is lots of linting engines. And I'm trying to remember where I saw that on this page. I think it was in the documents. So if I, like most of you, if I can't find it right away, I'm just going to Google it. Code quality documentation. And I'm sorry, I don't think I did code climate. Supposed to yell at me, man.
Oh, sorry. I was actually looking on my side. I failed you.
Oh, man, what are people doing? If you're so bored, you're not even paying attention.
No, I'm paying attention. I was diving into the documentation as well. I was looking at this thing like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if we get into here, docs.codeclimate.com.
I was looking at their ability to create your own analysis engine, which is pretty extensive. I didn't realize.
In Code Climate?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So if we dig in here, they should tell us, they got a list of all kinds of engines somewhere. Engine QA process and spreadsheet, break command, configuration. Seems like we're still at one of those high level pages that doesn't give us what we need. So what I'm going to do is do linting site.
I did notice they need to update their documentation because their code climate engine specification is missing.
Oh.
I got a 404. So
what did I mess up here? I keep thinking my fingers will not type code climate. They just keep typing. Okay, so code climate, it's got a doc section on ESLint, doc section on SCSSLint,
gotcha.
configuring your analysis, vint, linting for Vim scripts. So built within code quality or code climate is a bunch of linting engines. Now, interestingly, if you look here, when GitLab runs a code quality scanner, it interleaves the feedback right into your merge request, so you can see, what needs addressing in your code, including linting. So it's good to know that this is here. Interestingly, too, like a lot of GitLab tools, you can implement a custom tool instead of or in addition to what we use. So if you want to use SuperLinter as well, you could do that. So we'll take a look at what it takes to actually add SuperLinter to the mix here.
Sweet.
Also, yeah, so you can implement a custom tool, and that goes for a lot of our scanning engines, right, Jefferson, like SAST and.
It does. So a lot of what we have is based off some of those, like Truffle Hog, Git Leaks, those sort of analyzers, we could call them. And so you can take those. We have them built in, but of course, if you have some. So there's some security teams that have some crazy custom, like they use Truffle Hog, but they have like crazy custom like rule sets or things like that. So they'll probably have to bring that in as they're using GitLab, or maybe not have to rebuild everything. They could just take what they've already done and apply it. So absolutely, very extensible.
Cool. Yeah, and so here what we have is, this is our SAST one, which is one of the most configurable ones. So if you dig into here, it tells you how to output the report format. And if we even go back to code quality, it says implementing a custom tool, code quality reports. So if you follow our code quality artifact and report that in, it'll even show up in the panels. So we wanted you to know, first of all, GitLab does have linting built in. It just may not be as evident because it's just considered a subpart of code quality.
Yeah.
So if we look at SuperLinter, we want to take a look here and see kind of how we would potentially use this in GitLab. So I'm going to hit the code right away. So I see a Docker file here. So right away, that makes me hopeful, right?
Yeah.
Because this is probably packaged as a container somewhere. It may not be as a container I can get my hands on. If you look at code build, Amazon, the code build containers are not publicly available in a registry. However, they publish all the Docker files that they use to make them. So if you have a favorite one that you really want to use, you like their specific Node.js container, you could actually use a Docker file inside of GitLab and build that same container so that you could migrate that functionality to where you want it.
That's what they've done.
A lot of languages it links here.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So I get
so
the name of Super.
GitHub specific YAML for running this bug, baby.
Okay.
A lot of variables to configure it.
Wow.
Running SuperLinter locally. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. All right, so let's find out if let's say sharing things can get in my way. Let's find out if maybe there's a container out here for this already. If there's not, then we'll build it ourselves, but Um, okay, so we've got a section of GitHub. Okay, I gotta think there's a billion of them here.
Yeah, like super lint. I don't know if they would have called it out.
Super. Okay. Super linter.
There you go.
Okay, so that makes me
updated
that
7 minutes ago.
Oh wow!
So this is
Hey, let's see if we can break the world. All right, so let's get started out on GitLab. I think we'll just drop it right in guided explorations. Eh? What do you think?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
One thing that we've been doing out here, so guided explorations is an area where everything's supposed to be a working example, and people contribute them so that you can see the code and see how it works. And one section we have here specifically is GitLab CI/CD plugin extensions. Now, GitLab does not officially have plugin extensions like you're familiar with in Jenkins or something like that. However, all of Auto DevOps is built in a way that essentially creates extensions. And the way that is there's frequently a container full of stuff to use for the build. And then there's a piece of GitLab YAML that's highly parameterized with variables so that when you call it, you can call it from anywhere in the system. So let me just give you a quick view of a structure of what we would call a plugin. This one doesn't have a container, so it just does a dynamic install of a small utility, but it could have a container that this repo builds. So in this piece of code here, we are simply installing Apache FreeMarker and untarring it, and then we simply run it against a template file, which we receive as a variable, and where we want to put the rendered file. So that's the first secret, is just using only variables for input. Otherwise, you can't use this anywhere you want on the system if you got to customize it every time. And then one other little secret is to put this dot here, and it hides this particular code, so it doesn't run when it's encountered. It just gets kind of loaded into GitLab, and then we can reference this like a function. So you can kind of think of this in a language where you create functions. Putting the dot in front of there is like saying, I want a GitLab CI function. So you put function and then this name. Well, instead we just put a dot. Boom, it's hidden. And now we need to invoke it in another way. So there's another little bit of YAML in here that shows you how to call this guy. I think I didn't kill enough processes on my machine. It's going to be the slow live coding. We didn't say fast coding, just live.
That's right. Hey, I have the same issues.
Barely alive coding. We'll do it in slow motion in space.
It's all the dev tools I think I have. So like if I run Docker, because Docker now is like eating up what two gigs at least. The Docker engine for Mac, yeah. and then I run Minikube as well at times, and then I also run Parallels on top of that. And so you can imagine that everything kind of crashes on me.
I'm quitting Docker right now.
Yeah.
Docker desktop is not your lightweight.
So not anymore.
Right here is an include, and when we use a project directive, we're referencing a project path on the same server we're on, and I'm on GitLab.com, so it's referencing this particular path, and then it says I want this particular file. Interestingly, you can also add a ref on here. So if I was to start doing Git tags for versions of this particular plugin, then when people use it, they can peg it by adding it right under file, just ref : and then the name of the tag or the name of the branch or the name. If I didn't version it, they could still peg to my commit ID. So that's super cool because you can have versioned kind of plug-in code. Then right here, this is what actually uses it. So this is a real job, and it's saying, hey, I'm going to extend the one that started with a period that's in the other file. So note that I could be in a totally different repo. This example is in the same repo, but if it was in a different repo, whoever maintains that plugin or some tooling team could be maintaining those plugins. And then I pass it the variables. And so essentially, I have pluggable functionality that's version safe. that's rock solid because it's based on containers. So I could also, if I wanted, peg the container version to a known working version back in the original file. So all of this works together to create, reusable bits of functionality that we can now plug into any CI on our entire server. So that's kind of how GitLab does plugins. Now, unlike obviously GitLab, great, huge fans of open source. However, uncurated open source is always a challenge. So when your team's using open source, whether it's code for underlying dependencies, you should be reviewing and curating that source so you know where it's coming from. So one of the advantages here is that while GitLab can still do plugins, yeah, you need to kind of engage in it and make sure that the code that you're grabbing and running is safe, and that you should be dumping your source code into it. If you're picking random open source stuff without really reviewing it, you carry some risk, of course. All right, so
sure.
superlinter. So we got a container. So let's start. Let's just create a repository here. You're gonna have to keep me honest. I'm probably gonna screw up basic.
No, it's fine.
I'm not signed in.
Yeah, no, step one.
I think I'm just gonna switch since I can't switch to a browser. I'm already signed in.
Might be able to.
Okay. Kill more windows. Oh my goodness. I think last time I did this, I prepared by trimming back my processes quite a bit. This time I'm not been as good. All right, so we're going to drop down to plugins. And under here, we'll do a new project. Oh, this is killing me, man.
Interesting. What just happened?
So create my project, and I'm going to call it CI.
CI, yeah. Space CD.
GitHub Action. Superlinter.
Yeah.
Should have a dash. Did it have a dash?
I think it did have a dash. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Super dash linter. Yeah.
Public. Create a README just for the fun of it. Some background service go away. Lenovo Vantage service.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Okay. Probably running some crazy hardware check on my whole box. Okay, so we're going to work inside of the Web IDE here, even though on a day-to-day basis I don't work inside the Web IDE. It's pretty convenient when we're doing this kind of thing. So we're going to add a new file, and we'll call it GitLab CI.yaml. Notice here that we can apply a template. So if we had a template that we were happy with starting with, we could apply one. Interestingly, when you're on GitLab.com or your own instance, you can actually add to this list right here. So if you're a developer enablement team, you can add new items there that are specific to your organization. All right, so we know this much. We know we have an image, and now I lost it. It was what? GitHub Superlinter. Is that right?
GitHub /superlinter.
On Superlinter. So in GitLab CI, jobs are just, you give them a unique name followed by a colon, and that's your job name. And let's see. Let's get back to our documentation page here. Are you able to see if there's any chats? I don't think I have.
Yeah. Oh, I've been looking. Don't
okay,
you worry.
awesome.
Yep, I got you, man.
All right. Let's bring up this repo and see what we can kind of damage we can do here. So we know we want to use that image. And okay, here's another important thing, license, because what if we're not allowed to run this on GitLab?
Oh, MIT.
MIT.
Free of charge.
Any person obtaining copy, copy, modify, merge, distribute, sublicense, and or sell, or anything in the world.
Blah 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 blah. We're not making money off this, so I think we're
the above notice and this permission notice shall be included in all copies. Okay, so it'll be encapsulated in their container. So yeah, it looks
unless you're Amazon, it only matters if you're Amazon and you use MIT stuff. Did you see that the old VP of engineering, or maybe it's VP of engineering, he's getting sued over
oh no
NDA just because he joined Google? That's the only reason why they're suing him.
Oh wow.
Good times.
Okay, and how do we call it here? It doesn't really. So I assume this is somehow integrated into GitHub Actions. I'm going to go in the Docker file and see any clues.
The action YAML we should be able to transcribe.
Okay, so we got an entry point. So there's a linter shell somewhere. And what were you saying?
Well, I was thinking we could just go through and the action YAML and transcribe, but then I saw a list of variables that were being used, and that just blew my mind.
Okay, so we need to at least call that linter shell, it looks like.
I'll go to
script. Where'd that go? It's in Docker file.
I'm gonna peruse that. Okay, so you have actions, YAML, superlinter, branding. Who cares?
What is action lib? Linter. All right, let's be agile. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious if that's all it takes. Wouldn't that be nice?
The pipeline's elsewhere, so I can keep my editor open. Okay, it didn't die right away. At least I don't have any YAML in my GitLab YAML. So GitLab does a linting right before. It won't even start the jobs. So it takes time to spin up resources and jobs to get things going. So GitLab will do a CI lint right away. And if you have a CI lint problem, you will not even see a job appear. So if ever you're confused, you might have a failure in pipelines, but there will be no job for it. So the failures for linting happen in pipelines. And you can also pre-lint. Well, that's cooking. Right here, you can access the CI lint page. Let's see if I can open a new tab.
All those environment variables, that's crazy. It's hard coded. Roles.
Okay, so we can just do this while it's cooking in the background. We know this is going to pass, but Drop it into linting. Oh, one thing about being omni desktop is trying to map Control C and Control V in your head when you switch between the two platforms. It just about drives me around the bend.
You do you use a Mac keyboard? I just use a Mac keyboard. If you don't have one,
I don't, because I have my whole setup switches between the Mac and the Windows machine with. Okay, syntax is good. What happened with our pipeline?
It's good.
We failed.
Okay. Why does it hate us?
Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. What is that?
Armadillo? I don't know.
Radillo?
A radillo. The tail is throwing me off. Yes.
Why would that be for superlinter? I don't know then. Uh-oh. We failed to get a GitHub SHA. Well, no kidding. We're not running on GitHub.
Oh, no.
Okay. So
we have a wiki for customization. Let me poke. Block, JSON. Okay, that doesn't help us.
We need more input. So I'm going to look in that. Are you looking at the docs? I'm going to look quickly in the.
Yeah, I'm looking through the wiki, and then I'm trying to see like what else, because it doesn't. The SHA is interesting because I don't see. Maybe it's environment variables. I don't see where.
Oh, I found it in the code.
And.
Oh, here.
Oh, the linter sh. Okay.
It's checking for it before we can even get started.
So I wonder if we could either to remove the validation or to add a GitLab SHA.
So give me like, I have some thoughts about how I would make that decision. How would you make that decision whether to edit this code and rip it up?
So I think like anytime I'm doing like, I think before production ready, make sure that the validation of the SHA is there for sure when using it. Depending on what the validation is doing, I'll have to go through that linter again to see what the validation is doing. But yeah, I would probably transfer it to GitLab before sharing, but it depends on if it matters in the validation.
Yeah, I would too. I would try that first, because if I edit the code, now I have to have a fork, right? So
yeah,
if I take the value, then I'm good, right?
Yeah, or fake the value in our key value. I don't know if we could.
Yeah, or just map it to our SHA, because it's all Git SHAs, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, pre-flight checks are great, but when I'm doing something like this, I will turn them off as much as I can and then work backwards. I want it working first.
Running superlinter locally to test your branch of code. The flag run local.
You think they have like some?
Oh, so so you can run it local. Well, then obviously that's not running through GitHub. That GitHub SHA. If that's a variable provided by GitLab CI, that's not going to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to. Where is that lint sh in superlinter?
It's under bin, I think.
Bin? I don't even see it bin.
Or is it lib?
Oh, lib. Okay. Possum. It is a possum. So in that same directory under superlinter lib, they have a possum.sh, and that is exactly what is being created there. So it's a possum. So we were both wrong. Well, I guess not. A rat armadillo. That's a possum. It's close enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a ratadillo, a possum.
A possum, duh.
An armadillo with no shell.
That's right.
It's bigger than awesome. Rat. Okay, so I wonder if this run local. It doesn't say anything about the GitHub values though, does it?
So it looks like that GitHub SHA is equal to a variable called GitHub SHA, which is just the SHA of the commit. So I don't know why we couldn't just create an environment variable called GitHub SHA.
Yeah.
Let me see where that maps to, because I don't. It only maps in that environment variable.
What about this one though? This one with run local. What does it do with run local?
This is, yeah, run local. Run local. I don't know.
Go away stuff. Okay.
I think we'll have to do run local unless, because it's not. It's gonna be reading from that container that has in there.
Run local. Run local. Run local. Yes, run local.
Yeah. So it's all.
Oh. Has been set to true, bypassing GitHub Actions variables.
Oh.
Okay. Let's set this puppy and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, let's just set a variable. Huh.
Oh man, next time you do the live streaming, because
yeah, we'll see.
I should have cleaned up my list.
My stuff is always failing me. You have a more powerful Mac than mine too. That's the scary part.
Yeah. Okay. Variables or variable?
Variables.
Oh, what's the value I'm looking for?
That was. I know. I have to click it like 100 different places now.
True. Lowercase true.
It's
once again Bash pretending it has real booleans. Okay. All right. Now what happens? Should we test it again? We're running out of time. We're on a deadline, man. We got 16.
Oh, hey, part two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ideally, we can come back. I'll probably work on this too. Come back for next week and then show it finished. That'd be cool.
All right. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, let's roll. Did you lint it? I'd lint your syntax.
We don't lint our code when it's super linter. I mean, that's kind of like into like squaring the universe or something, right? Like you lint your lint. Oh, and look at that. I didn't lint.
I knew it.
And
I knew it.
Look at that. You're right. Super linter will not lint GitLab CI YAML before the job starts. Config to be a hash. Oh, look at that. Need a dash? No, I don't need a dash. But it's not all caps. What did I do wrong, man?
So variables looks right. Run local looks fine. Why is that failing? Spec script. Variables config should be hash of key value pairs. It's like it's not reading your variable as a key value pair. I'm checking.
Oh, I guess I do need a dash. I thought I did. I knew that YAML.
Oh, it's an array? Huh.
Yeah, I thought I'd used it like this before, though. All right.
I guess that makes sense.
I'm impatient, and I'm committing to master.
Yeah, you are.
I'm committing the sin of committing to master.
No, it's okay. When it's your master, it's fine.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't see a dash as a form of an indicator. Yeah, it should be as you had it, like run underscore whatever local colon, and then
both ways in the docs. this way, which makes sense. This way, we'll inherit. Maybe the wrong spot.
Let me go to that repo real quick and see. Image.
All right. My patience is running thin. I'll try one more time. If this doesn't work, I'm going to put it in the script.
Variables. Oh, maybe your true needs to be in parens. That's what it is. Your Boolean. Yep. I bet that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm looking at docs that don't show it in quotes.
Oh, really? We're going to find out. That's it.
Oh, look at that. But look at this document. Maybe I'm in the wrong place. But
oh, nice.
It shows false. Not correct. All right, something's happening. Good one, man.
It's the little things that always like. It's commas, right? That and commas.
Yeah. And unless you're crazy enough to do live coding, no one gets to see you make all those dumb mistakes all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no prep here either. This is just doing it. Hopefully we get better results here. Maybe.
Oh, hey, you know what we should do is see if that would have been caught here. Give me the same message though, right? Oh.
Huh.
Weird.
I wonder if it's just on true false on the booleans itself, not so much on strings.
Job succeeded. No errors were detected.
Script has completed.
No such file or directory. Temp lint.
Temp lint. Okay, so something's being written there, maybe? But it ran. And
you need to pass run local flag to bypass GitHub, as well as mapping your local code base to temp lint.
To limp. Okay. So lint can
notice one override temp lint. You can set default workspace environment to point to the folder you'd prefer to scan. Okay, well that would be our GitLab workspace. Can you look up the variable for our root build folder for GitLab?
I think it's /build, isn't it?
Yeah,
but let me do
CI underbar something
build.
Oh, you know what though? I think they're having trouble setting this up here. Set it in the script. Right. I always usually do the multi-line format here too. What do you got there?
Workspace. Trying to find it. Sorry.
Here, maybe I'll pop it up here since. Okay, so that's CICD variables page.
Yep, I got those up. Project ID, project dir.
Predefined.
Project path.
Predefined variables. So GitLab pre-populates a ton of variables that start with CI. And I remember this one having like building it. Builds dir. Top level directory where builds are executed.
Yeah, CI builds _ dir. So either way, once we get this working, we'll have it out there on the guide explorations for when to use.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. You will have to go through the pain.
We'll help you with your pain.
Right. Take away the pain and embarrassment. You are welcome.
So if, once you get this working, if we have enough time, what I want to do is make this into an includable file and then create the real YAML to simply include it. So then it's easy for people to see if they want to include it. But I have a disclaimer that says, don't use this in production from this location, because everything in guided explorations is just working examples. In theory, you could take a production dependency on it, but we're not managing it as code. It's not like Auto DevOps, it's managed as part of the product. We are just goofing around out here giving you working examples, so you should not take any production dependencies. But getting the same thing.
So cd temp lint, linting all files in map directory, temp lint, even though your environment.
I can't see if it mapped my variable.
That's what I was looking for too.
That's the right format. Default workspace. Maybe I can't do it.
I wonder if you have to map the CI builder to that temp directory, template, or I mean, it should map to.
Build agent? No, because it would have used it if we had it.
Yeah, it should have. Actions lab, cd temp, no such file directory. So like, yeah, it's like it almost didn't read that variable at all. Linking all files in mint.
Okay, let me
Right back into this super lint. Run.
did have someone else chattering about this.
Run local, default run local is equal to false. Default value for debugging locally. Default workspace. How'd you have your variable in there? Missing browser repository. CI. Default workspace equals. I wonder if you have to do.
Oh, you know what? It is not waiting for us because the entry point of this container is taking over. So if I want to actually, I've had to do this before with the Canico container.
I'll add the entry point.
Yeah, where you override it because we're trying to call a script that's inside of there, but because remember we saw the entry point, so try nothing, and then it should run our code.
So override it.
So if you're using a container that has an entry point, a lot of the ones that we use in GitLab CI do not have an entry point that causes it to take off and do something else. So if you need to override an entry point in the Docker image, you can make it blank like I did there.
See what happens. So default run string. Okay.
Dun 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 dun.
Pulling Docker. So that's the variable they have within it, within the default. But I wonder if we can just, by specifying it again like that, can you override it? Yeah, it looks like the entry point didn't matter. Unexpected end of string, validation, awk command, line 1, expected end of string.
Still doesn't seem to be hitting that variable.
Gonna override it.
Yeah, I know I've seen. Okay, here's some goofing around that I was doing earlier. Local true. I don't know if we're actually getting. Maybe we have to override to.
It's builds, right?
To be bash instead of just nothing. Let's give ourselves a safety. Oh, we won't be able to make a dir there if there's no temp volume, right?
Let's see if I can. So just ignore my pipelines. Yeah. Ignore mine.
Hey, multi-team.
I know. Power through this.
Power of parallel. The power of hitting it as hard as you can with wacky code. Something will work out. It's like the old monkeys typing away to make what's it called? Who's that famous British author, playwright back in the day?
I have no idea, but I'm interested now.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna get into a bash shell, but we'll have to see if this is gonna parent environment. What did it say? It said we can override. You can set the default workspace environment variable to point to the folder you'd prefer to scan.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, right?
So that's what I did in the.
Ooh, failed to create container. That looks like it's not related.
Oh, that's weird.
Runner system failure.
We hit too hard.
Now it's really not liking our code.
Hit it way too hard. Interesting. Because everything you had in there looks correct. It's almost like it's not. I don't know why it's not letting you. The default workspace variable. Change it to another called variable. And I changed it to the builders. That didn't work. I'm going to keep crunching at this. See if we can get this figured out.
Yeah. We could just change, what we'll do is we'll just change the name of this to dive coding instead of live.
I know. Address. which is the not so fun part.
Cross your fingers. And then it does YAMLs and READMEs, so if it does go, it should be able to look at our files and at least tell us if they're any good. We got files for it to actually. Same thing. What happened to your jobs?
I'm still running one. Oh, I didn't like that configuration.
Oh, one of yours passed.
Yeah, they're passing, but staying with the same message that you're getting. Yeah, it's like a combination here. I'm trying to override it.
I got to get to another meeting.
No. Well, I'm going to continue this. Yeah, I'm going to. Well,
okay.
What I think what we can do is actually, we're going to work on this. Maybe we can, the next time we meet, we can share our success in this.
Yeah.
Because I think we can get, this should be, we'll get this to work. And then we can, that's the way that could be used. And maybe we can test it against a project once we have it set up as well. So that'd be kind of cool too.
Yep.
So I'm down.
All right, folks. We'll give this one another run next time.
That's right.
To show you how the hazards of live coding.
That's the whole point.
All right, dude.
That's good.
Catch you next time.